Nyake, Yaxatini Yaxana Shtakat Yuhan. She show Tushitin Kateya Yinak ya Yidat. Get away, Yayaki. Kainach Hasaku. Ya ach Ka Dak Sau Shaha. Ya Hastu Yejini Yidat. Da Doe. Kechne Ka Yinak. Wasa Hasituasagu Ikukas Shayehi. Tlingit Studel tu Aya. Intermediate Tlingit you do a sock away. Yeah away. Away. Kachaya Kachlatin. Yeah Achtua Sakoko Yisatini Yachana Yekakoti. Yeah away Quashi Satin. Ushnek Aya. Wait ich. Yeah Achtua Sagut ich Kati Litin. Khatka Achyetki. At Aya. Kallasai Kusti Gwashi. Yantusket. Yewe Kukwasket. Ich Katilten. Yewe ya yidat khoach ha hitikak. Juias iu daknas tan kunachawe. Was ya na shleno is the cutwit lay ta ani kuk. Tak hach to us a kukha yesu tak eka tak. Het was a kukwatikoa. Ya yidat ye ha ye jini away. We guksa the katat kagudesa kagudachsa. Yewe ach to us a goo. Cheesh hati atil the kat yuhan. Quashli to us a goo you etani linkit renach ya yidat was a kwati. Yewe. Ye to a guess a goo ye inkachani kitlet krenach. Quashli kwati. So I'll go ahead and translate as much as I can remember. Just it's fun to share language as we sort of start our studies. It was fun to see you folks doing live translations during the event on Tuesday. It was really wonderful. I know that's hard stuff to do, is to do live translation. But it was fabulous. So some of the things I said was thanks everybody for coming. Maybe you can see that the ice is getting, what's the word for it? It's getting soft on the lake. And I wanted to go ice skating with my kids. There's no verb for ice skating, but I like the verb skate. Only because you could say skate, and then it sounds like you said skate right in the middle. And there's no kate verb root that I know of. Ki could be skiing. Ski away. Then it would be chwadzaki and chwadzakate in the perfective. And, you know, sounds like it's raining outside. Maybe all the snow is melting. I like winter, but, you know, the weather will be the weather. It's good to see everybody. We're going to study kind of direction, location stuff. A colleague of mine reminded me of Intermediate Tlingit, which is a text that Nora Marks Dowenhauer and Richard Dowenhauer were working on. So we're going to take a look at that. And I'll give you folks a link to it. Download the whole thing. It might go through some updates. We'll see what the folks at SHI want to do with it. And if anybody wants to talk in Tlingit now to start the class or share any sentences, that'd be great. Did I say anything else? I think that's everything I said.
Akyat Kutaya. I would like to go.
Okay.
In kunachdak kakwanik. Kushuk shkalnik. Jin Tagaban. Kuni. Gune Kejin Yagi. Hat Yagi Gin. Gusa. I'll put it in the chat. Guatginksa. Siktisi Kleka. Kleka Katlek. Kleka Kedek. Kleka Nask. Kleka Naskadoshu. Maybe by Tuesday, I'll figure out how to say let's listen. This is from National Museum of the American Indian.
Good cheese. Okay. Real quick, we'll take a look at this listen verb. So the verb root ach, I think, means to listen or to make a sound. So if we look at all the verbs here, we've got to listen for something. I use this like listen for the dog when I put the dog outside. To hear something, to hear a voice, to listen to something, to play a musical instrument, to understand or comprehend something, to be able to hear something. So this is what remember they used to have the cell phone commercials? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? So you'd say khatiya akhchke. So khatiya akhch would be, or khatiya akhchke would be a good Zoom term. I gotta finish my Zoom terms. I started working on that. I think I'll make a video on Zoom terms. It'll probably be all frozen when I make it. It'll be fun. Then we've got to listen to a person. Take the time to listen. And then we have to listen to, as in to obey. So it kind of depends. If you're talking to a group of people in public, you would change d to ach. And that's a real nice way to ask for people's attention. Ach, kunayis ach. Or kunayis ach. Ach, kunayis ach. You can also say, hande yiwak. If it's at a ku'ich, it's fine. If you're dealing with young people that you're in charge of, you could then say, ach ach, or ach ach, depending on if you're talking to one of your kids, or maybe all of your kids. But it's getting a little bossy if you don't know them too well. This is kind of a bit of a nicer one, just in terms of take the time to listen. And, if the situation's a certain way and you sort of started talking like this, some people might be like, who you? So just be careful. So we'll look at listen. So here is a command form. So if you wanted to tell people, listen to it. Katsa'ach. You got your new favorite song, telling your homie, go katsa'ach. But so this, if you want to get into the let's do it,
Yeah.
you gotta look down to the hortative. The hortative will always be where we find let's do the thing, right? So what we find is we see there's a 0. So a hortative is going to have the conjugation prefix, which in this case is 0. It's going to have this other thing, ka, which we see in the third person. Classifier is going to be -I. And the verb is usually long and low. So if I see at qasa'ach, what I would expect for this let's, at qatusa'ach. let's listen to it. So horatives are pretty fun. But this is where you're gonna do like let them do it, let me do it, let us do it. So when it's this is how you say like let's go for a walk, or you know let's fight, whatever. That's what you. As there was a friend of mine, he said to me, he sent me a text, and it was like, yeah, to nachawe, out the gani, something like that. I heard that the coffee, or I heard that the sun shines through your coffee. Like I think he's telling me I make weak coffee. So then I was like, whoosh, whoosh, let's fight. And then we're texting. We're just having fun. Don't really start fighting with each other. We just had this session on like being nice. I'm telling you how to say let's fight. Okay. Other questions, things you want to share? Okay.
How does the hortative mode in Tlingit compare to the way other languages might do it? And can you, I don't know if this is the good place to do this, but is there linguistic technical terms that are associated to the way in which the hortative is broken out? Because I'm working on some database structures that I want to be lingual based so it can be a database development kit, if you will, for languages. So I'm trying to figure out those linguistic components.
Well, I know Raven uses hortative verbs all the time, and then they happen. And I know that the elders will use hortative forms like when things are really important. Like so Cyril, he said, and as soon as I heard it, I was just blown away because I don't know. I just when you study the language, you know that when things go into this hortative mode, like you're moving into sort of sometimes a bit of a wish, strong wish, or a prayer. Like when Raven uses them, they always happen. He'll be like, "Let me drift to a fine sand. Let somebody cut me out of this thing." Some of them get really hard to translate, but he'll say like, "Let me fall on kaja," and then it'll happen, right? And so there's this kind of a spiritual connection to it in my mind. Like when you start using those things, they'll happen. But if you learn how to use a hortative verb, and for now, maybe just look it up. But you said nachtuat or atkatucha, let's eat, right? And so they're used a lot for like, because when you need to communicate something to a group, you use a hortative form, and that it works that way in English, right? So in English, you use a command form, like especially for kids, like eat that broccoli, right? But then if it's a group of people, you'll say let's, and then it's a sort of a social dynamic, right? Like hey, let's go to a movie, right? So you sometimes it's a suggestion, sometimes it's a command. Like everybody's sitting around like let's go already, let's go. We've been sitting around, let's eat the broccoli, right? And so and so yeah, that's a good question. In terms of like I'm not sure how other languages use them though, so it's maybe a Zeosh question or something.
Is he accessible?
Usually through email, yeah. He'll probably be down to have some chats with you, and he's a computer programmer too in his past career.
Well,
So
uh, just add a little bit and I'll stop there. Zeosh is the one who actually gave me strength to really tackle this project because I went to him and gave him my idea and he says, that's impossible. There's just no way you're going to be able to do that. And I'm like, oh yeah.
well, I mean, you just plug in all the variables, right? And you start with the things that are predictable.
Mm.
Du idea wa tuashi. At Qatush at oh wait at gachtushi. So that's you'd have to throw the ga into that one. Yeah, adusa kone kekwashi. Isikukewe sakuyigi achi.
The second one.
Siguyagi, 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 siguyagi.
The clock.
Okay. Now the part that might get you in trouble is if you say at the end you go, and my kids did this at somebody's birthday. I don't know who taught it to them to this day, but they said, "Ya Indishan." But don't do
Khataya.
that.
Gnastish. Ach, tu ya idat.
Ah, tu yake. Ukecha.
Dushan.
Okay, I'm gonna tell on Tlingit here for a sec. So like there's these things we use in Tlingit, right? Like here, so here's a neat way you could say this, right? So if you're asked to do something by your kaniyan, by the clan opposites of you, like to put some atu onto somebody, you'll usually say like kalkhataya itayin han. Ya koe achlish on katachtzin. Huaya ye ikqa'u. So, you can, it comes down to the language. So if you're asked to do something for your in-laws, like put their sacred clan items onto them. So before some cultural event would happen, you would have your in-laws, put your regalia on. And then if you ask someone to do that, it's usually a child of your clan that you bring up to do that. Then they'll say, they usually say it in English now, but you could say it in Tlingit, like, it's not me standing in front of you. So even like you could take yourself right out of the pronoun, like it's not me that's standing in front of you. You name one of your ancestors from your own clan. And especially like if you really want to be fancy, you pick someone who's a father of their, one of their children were from that clan. Like it's all super connected. And then you'll say, hooch away. They're going to put this on you. And then so that's a traditional thing. Wasa do sako at khadake hiti siknoon you do sako at. Yeah, I clean ku agi uti. Dakasai to asaku dakat khasawe. Kwashi to asaku kwe wasus glee. Kwashi to asaku khat kuchu. Achwa uhan khat kuchu. Achwa uhan wasus glee. Akathatsewa akdakasai shukwa ai. Achwa uhan Kanach kalte genach awe. Has aus ian. Kaha itianu waha. Kanach awe. Ach kani. Ach chunk. Skiki du at chai. Du chayita ya yan has aus in. Kone aya utullach. Oh, yeah, ohan su hatuasaku atcha. This jayiku genki Ho'oe eoqa. Kalchata ya kalchatka kwacha ta achlil ya awa atwatuashuk adat. So we were in Yakutat for a language conference, and I can't remember all the details years ago. And what I remember is you could pick because there were a bunch of us eating there, right? And they were kind of footing the bill for the whole thing. So you just had to pick do you want beef or do you want fish? And so some of us picked the beef and some of us picked the fish. And then, and for whatever reason, like some of the food came out way before the other food. We ended up waiting for a long time. They probably had a lot of food to cook, small place. And they did a great job. But we start teasing because she got her food like before us and they set it down. And we're just like, it'd be nice if you fed your in-laws. We're just really teasing her, right? Just all teasing, right? And so she said, this is not me eating this. This is my aunt. And so it's just so funny. It's so fun to do that stuff. And the humor in the language and I think of it because birthday fun and just stuff like that. And just tattling on people, I guess.
That was brilliant.
So you say, Ke ikachwanik. I tattled on you. So there's a new verb. There's a new verb. Ke ikachwanik.
It was the only way to keep them out of my food. Surrounded by ravens.
Just buzzing around. So this other time, I told my kids that, if you got kids, they really like to just tattle on each other sometimes. One comes up, Dad! You can just hear it in their voice, Dad! And so I said, Kindikaduniki. So kindikaduniki is a word for tattletale. So I can't remember which one of my kids, but like, I'm not telling, but so-and-so did this. I was like, wait a minute, just because you said you're not. Okay, fun stuff. Anything else to share? Questions? More silly stories I could tell you. Okay, let me pull up this document. I got a bunch of stuff open right now. Too many things. So intermediate Tlingit. So the Richard and Nora Dauenhauer had this this idea for a long time about finishing this document, and I kind of had forgotten all about it. I did a bunch of work just trying to format it. But then some of the terminology started to change in terms of how we teach this stuff. But I really like the things that they put in here. So I'll put a link in the chat and also put this on our class website this evening. So this is, again, to continue these discussions on direction and location. So where I'd like to start with this is kind of right here. Hopefully y'all can see this. I never know what it looks like on your screen as opposed to my screen. But can someone just read this first sentence? Anybody?
Okay.
Okay. And the next one?
Y'all do.
And the next one?
Good day, Sayani. Good.
And the next one?
Good.
The next one?
Skundachyan nagut.
Next one?
Junoch ye chatyatu.
Okay. Next one? Last one. Somebody read it. Dusa. Okay. Okay, so we look at these sentences, right? And this is just showing us some stuff that we learned in beginning Tlingit. Gusuwa yadu. Gudesa yanikit. Ach at khande yan khakit. Shkundach yan yanakit. Junoch yechat yati. Kuch ach jiwu. So what this is setting us up for is to say we've already used some of these direction and location things. A bunch of them. Some of them are questions. Some of them are combinations of things. And we're going to learn kind of just keep talking about what these things are and how they combine, how we use them. Then we're going to take a look at a whole bunch of them. So, anybody know how to say, I used to have a book?
Uchachjiuyewuti.
That's close. That's close. But one thing needs to change. So jiwu. Oh, someone else have it?
I just thought you had to change that jiwu part into a past tense.
So jiwu
Yes.
there's no verb there. And when you're using jiwu, you shouldn't be using that with a verb in the same sentence. It's just a fast way to say I got it. It's verbless. It's a totally verbless phrase. We got to keep that in mind because we use it. We use it for a bunch of stuff in English. I got time. I got a dog. Got kids. I got some problems. You got all kinds of stuff, right? But it works differently in Tlingit. So if you're going to move this around, then it's got to become a verb. That means this suffix falls off, the w. And we're going to learn exactly what that w thing is. And maybe we all already know, but we're just going to reinforce that today. So you'd say kuk ach ji yewuti, right? So you had the yewuti part, but then that w's got to go away. You can't have w and a verb at the same time. Same thing, you say kuk ach ji de yekwati. I'm gonna have a book. Kuk ach ji yewuti. I used to have a book, but I ain't got it no more. Okay, so what this is showing you, so now we're going to start looking at these things. The and the and the day, the dach, the and we've looked at them before. This chapter just sort of shows us some different ways to look at it. And then we're going to start looking at some of these question and answer kind of conversation things that we've looked at in beginning Tlingit, with asking, what are they doing? What are you doing? And we'll look at how these things just sort of change. Okay, can somebody read that one?
Wasakuanuk.
And that one? And that one? And that one?
Ashkutia.
Sheesh. So wasakuanuk. So this is a third person, them. And then it gives like sort of three things. Hun. Ashkushet. These first two verbs, you just got to remember there's the third person subject. Like if you were just to say, what if they're sleeping? Somebody tell me, a singular person is sleeping right now. Anybody know that one? One more time.
Ata.
So so we think that there needs to be something that was just ta. What's that? Ta. It's they're very short verbs. On or hun, ta. Those are very short, and so it gets a little bit unusual to see them in this form because it's only the stem, because these are both zero classifiers. So ashkuchet is, and so now we're going to change it to say, what are you doing? And then the answer. So can someone read this one?
Wasakianuk. Wasakianuk.
Okay.
Ka'a.
Cheese. And this one?
Achan.
And this one?
Ashkuchatiat.
Sheesh. So now what this shows you is what happens when we start changing this subject pronoun. We go from kuwanuk to qiyanuk. Then we go from cha'a, hun, chahun, ashkuchet, ashkuchachet. So a couple of things. So these are great. Like, what are you doing? Standing, just sitting, right? And then for this one, just keep in mind that this is active playing. So running around doing something. It's not like playing games. It's not, playing bingo. It's usually running around. So this would be unusual to ask, but I guess, for the purposes of seeing how they work. Can someone read this one?
Wasa chukunuk.
This one? And this one?
Ihan.
And this one?
Ashkishet.
Sheesh. So look at this third person, first person, second person. But the question comes out third person, second person, first person. Them, you, me, them, me, you. So we go cha'a, ia, hun, chahun, ihun, ashkuchet, ashkuchachet, ashkichet. So we just keep an eye on, just looking at how that changes. Nothing marks it here. Cha marks it here. I marks it here. Right? So that's subject. Cha, I, nothing. Right? Totally unmarked. We just have to get used to that idea. All right? I do it, you do it, does it. That's just how it goes. Any questions about that?
So the last one that you did, you didn't know how you would use that. That's a great way to teach at least little ones. I'm not sure about everyone, but it's a great way to teach little ones because you can say that and then do something, and they'll respond almost on cue, without cue.
Yeah. Sheesh. Okay. So now we're going to use these same types of verbs, and we're going to put this T on there. Okay? So, could someone read this one? And this one?
Wait.
And this one? It's okay. And this one?
Ach, and
Okay. So then we see this T. When you're asking the gu, you usually are going to put some directional suffix on there. And so the T, once you have a T, the answer must match it with the same suffix. Gut, wait, yacht, hunt. Okay? So here we get wait, which you gotta be careful to not say wait, which is one word, which means that one or those ones. Wait, as two words, they are sitting over there. De yacht, they are sitting by the roadside. Achant, so this yach, I don't think I can select it. We'll talk about that for a quick second. So day is a road or a path or a trail, and it has yach, which is the roadside. Heen is usually a river, but it could also be water. But a river also has yach. A lake also has yach. So heen yach is by the side of the river. Yach is by the lake. Maybe the beach at the lake. But the lake ain't got no niche. It only has an yach. The other thing that has a yach is a table. So you could say nadak yacht ah, sitting at the table. You would also use that for nadak yach qanu, sit at the table. So just sometimes the types of things work a little different in different languages. Okay, so the T attaches to we, which is that one or over there. The T attaches to de yach, and the T attaches to ach chan. So chan is next to me. Okay. All right, let's do this one. Someone read this one.
Gosh, kuhiat.
Sheesh. And this one.
Wech ash kulhiat.
And this one.
Geach ash kuhiat.
And this one.
Achanch ash kusiat.
Sheesh. Yeah, well. So so here we have, once we hear gu sa, then we must answer with something with that same suffix. So we see we, de yach, and achan now taking a different suffix. So you could switch it. Wech ash kuchet, de yach ash kuchet. So going to is always fun. Achan ash kuchet. Okay. So here the verb is changing, the suffix is changing, but then there's some other things that are just repeating to show you, and so that's what the Downhowers like to do, is just create all these different patterns so you could learn a bunch of stuff, but then also just start thinking about how these patterns continue to change. Okay.
Renee, you froze for a sec. Can you say de yach ash kuchat again, please?
De yach ash kuchet. Okay, so let's keep it going. More examples. Somebody read this one.
Good say yana good.
And this one.
Way de yana good.
And this one.
Yach de yanakut.
Okay, and this one.
Achande yana good.
Sheesh. So here we see gu de. So now everything must answer with de. What can you tell me about the tone of de?
Are you asking about the tone in regards to the emphasis you put on day?
Well, so we got
Where are you going?
de, de, de.
It's relational to the noun or the vowel before it.
Yep. So if the vowel before it is low, it's going to be high. If the vowel before it's high, it's going to be low. That's just how it goes, right? So you're going to go hit, de, nesh, de. Okay. And so now we see this yanagut. So now they go anywhere they want to, right? Hit de yanagut. Giwa daki hiti de yanagut. Chagach daki hiti de yanagut. Ah yach de yanagut. So I'd be going down the beach at the lake. Right? Okay. Here we go. Next set. Someone read that.
Udachsa yana good.
Wedach yana good.
Next one.
De yach dach yanakut.
Next one.
Achandach Yanagut.
So here we got Yanagut, Yanagut, Yanagut. And so now once we hear gu dach, then here we are. It's got to be matched with the dach, 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 dach. Same things. We, de, yach, achan. What can you tell me about the tone in that suffix?
Always high.
Is always high. So an open suffix usually, most always, will be the opposite of the tone before it. Closed suffixes will always be high. Gudach, weidach, de yachdach, achandach. Any questions? There's also a set of nouns that kind of come from verbs where people can also go. So you can go achech yanagut, they're going dancing. Achun yanagut, they're going hunting. Astech yanagut, they're going fishing. Achka yanagut, they're going gambling. They're just having a good time. It's going all over the place. Okay. Let's try and get through the rest of these. Somebody read that.
Gutsa-ia.
Next one.
Hate ha'ah.
Next one.
De yach dach ha'ah.
And the last one.
Duchant cha'a.
Sheesh. So here, the T matches with the T, right? Gut, hate, yacht, hunt. A couple things had to change now, though, because we're talking about myself. So you can't say wait cha'a unless you're looking at a picture of yourself, I guess. You can't say I'm sitting over there, right? It just doesn't, unless I guess maybe your out of body experience. Who knows, right? But hate cha'a, so now it becomes like I'm here. You could also say yat cha'a, right? It's kind of an unusual thing, right? De yacht cha'a, de chant cha'a. So now the de, because you also can't sit beside yourself. Okay, next one. Gook. Keep it going.
Ech Ash.
Hey, chachan.
Okay,
Oh.
keep it going.
Yacht Achan.
Keep it.
Gukhant chahan.
Okay, let's just read all the way through. Next one.
Guchsa ash kichyat.
Eich.
Dayach ash kuchalgat.
Hank ash kuch ash yat.
Good sheesh. So then we see ihan, chahan, chahan, chahan. Kityet, kuchachet, kuchachet, kuchachet. Hate, deyacht, duchant. Heich, deyach, duchant. So this is setting us up, right? So this is setting us up quite a bit for, and then we'll go through another examples. Here's day, and now I'm going, and then here's dach, and now I'm coming from all these different places. And then it goes into this explanation about how prepositions work in English, right? So we see in, on, in, with, to, from, coming before the noun. And Tlingit, it always comes after the noun. So this is chapter 3 in intermediate Tlingit. I'll post the whole thing. Read as much as you want, but definitely look at chapter 3. We'll pick it up next week, and then we'll also, they go through a bunch of explanations here. They start showing us a few more things, and then they show us some examples in some of the texts. And so we'll dive back into one of the stories to also continue to just look for more of these things, think about how they work. Then we'll start talking a little bit more also about verbs and how they work, and just let's see. I feel like you need something to do over the weekend. So let's see. What are you guys gonna make some sentences about? We've been kind of doing like going places, seeing things. Anyone got any other ideas?
How about your favorite traditional food?
Okay, so let's yeah, it's always a good topic. So foods you like to make and eat, and maybe even if you do like any jarring or anything like that, or preserving, if you want to learn how to put your requests in. Nice. Right? You give us the puppy eyes, do whatever you need to do. Okay, that sounds good. So we'll do that. How to our Haida relatives for spending time with us, and Gunchish to y'all for sticking with it. We'll see you next week, and we'll start with your whatever sentences you come up with. Just come up with a few sentences, and okay. Wishigachtusteen.
Keith.
Gunishish and how are
Ah.
Johan. So yeah, across the team.
Equati.
Las cheese.
Yakayuk Sitini Alkishas.